Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I want to welcome you to day 5 of this special Humanity Rising We the World program between the 11th of September and the 21st of September, a time when the world remembers 9/11 and all the events and feelings and consequences of that momentous occasion 20 years ago this last Saturday. And then each day we've been contemplating a different theme that is of global concern. Today we want to look at the theme of health, human health. Obviously, since the last 18 months or so, the world has been going through a pandemic. The question of public health, personal health has been uppermost in people's minds. This is the first time in over 100 years since the flu epidemic of 1918 that the whole world has been subsumed into a critical health challenge. The virus affected us physically. It also affected people mentally and psychologically, as we were all very peremptorily forced into lockdown and social distancing and wearing masks and not able to go to work, not able to go to school. So one of the health consequences of the pandemic, in addition to actually getting the flu, was that there was all kinds of psycho-emotional challenges that began to emerge worldwide as people were broken out of their normal patterns and put into lockdown. There were increases in alcohol abuse, drug abuse, increases in domestic violence, increases in depression, increases in suicides all around the world. So mental health has become an issue. We all know that we're dealing at the same time with climate change. There was a report in the news just yesterday saying that polling is showing that young people all over the world are beginning to report experiences of mental and psychological and emotional effects of being aware that we're in a climate emergency. So virtually everywhere we look, we have a health challenge that is not only global, but very much multidimensional. So I want to welcome all of you to this program today. One of the things that we do every day on Humanity Rising to maintain good emotional and psychological health, which we're going to do right now, and that is we do a heart coherence meditation just for about a minute. The scientific data shows that if you just spend a minute, 3 minutes of your day focusing on your heart, listening, if you can, to your heartbeat, maybe putting your hand over your heart. And you do this in a spirit of gratitude and thanksgiving that there's released into your body over 1,400 chemicals that make you feel better, that improve your vitality, increase your immune capacities, and generally contribute to your overall health and well-being. In the midst of all the chaos in our world, just taking time every day just to pause and attune yourself with your heart is one of the healthiest things that you can do. So we do it every day on Humanity and Rising. So I invite you right now to just take a moment, relax into your body, take a breath, close your eyes, and attune yourself with your heart in a spirit of gratitude and thanksgiving that you're alive. And in this attunement, feel love for everyone that you know. Thank you, everyone. Now, with an open heart and a heart full of gratitude and love for each and every one of you who are joining our session today, I want to say how grateful we are here at Ubiquity University and Humanity Rising to be partnering with We the World and 11 Days of Global Unity and the Sign Network and Unify. Our partnership has been building for some time, and this takes it to the next level. So in that spirit of deep privilege and gratitude, I want to welcome Rick Ulfik, a good friend and colleague for many years now, who started this 11 Days of Global Unity way back in 2004 as a way to take a wound, a global wound, and transform it into peace. Surely the great challenge of our time. So Rick, welcome. I turn the program over to you.
Thank you so much, Jim. And also thank Rick Buckley, who's behind the scenes making this all happen technically. And of course, thank you to Ubiquity University and Humanity Rising for broadcasting all of these 11 Days of Global Unity panels. I and we greatly appreciate your partnership and collaboration. So as Jim said, my name is Rick Ulfik. I'm the founder of We the World and the We campaign at we.net. And I'm the co-creator of 11 Days of Global Unity with my dear friend, Troy Lush. You can find out more about all of the 11 Days of Global Unity broadcasts and events by going to we.net. And we invite you to collaborate with us as a volunteer or as an organization partner as well. Just go to we.net. So today we wanted to do a tribute. There's a few different tributes actually, but the first one is a tribute to partners who are working on 11 Days of Global Unity and have been for many years. Yes, thank you, Rick B, as I call him, Rick Buckley, for putting that up. So first of all, you can see 11 Days of Global Unity kind of celebrates and focuses on the 11 themes. You can see them on the left side there. And I'll just say them so people get this sense of the comprehensive nature of these themes and these campaigns, because they were designed to be a blueprint for global transformation. Unity, interdependence, environment, economic justice, health and wellness, children and youth, women, human rights, freedom, disarmament, and peace. And of course, the idea is to connect, mobilize, and thereby accelerate global social change. That is the mission statement of We the World, actually. The mission statement is to maximize social change globally until we have a world that works for all. So, here you can see some of the partners. And of course, there are hundreds of partners. So, and some, not everybody's represented here, but just so you see. So on the left side there, that is the symbol for Humanity Rising. Then it goes to Saturday Night Alive, which did a special show on September 11th, focusing on 11 Days of Global Unity. It was a really fabulous show, reaching tens of thousands of people. Another consistent partner with us is the Sign Network, which stands for Synergized Impact Network Exchange. And they help to broadcast all of these events with the Humanity Rising and many other partners and We the World. That's John Raymer who founded that. And John also founded the Compassion Games, which during September does the Global Unity Games, survival of the kindest. Then next one over, we have Kurt Johnson and the Convergence Radio series, which is broadcast on Voice America, which is very, very large network, radio network, an international radio network, not to be confused with the Voice of America, which is a government station or platform. But Voice America is a private platform that and has many socially conscious stations on it and broadcasters. Then we have Purpose Earth, which is a program to create funding for peace, justice, sustainability, and transformation projects. And they are also partnering with Unity Earth. Then we have the Shift Network. The Shift Network featured an article that I wrote about 11 days this year, and it went out to over 700,000 people. So, and they've been a consistent partner over the years too. In fact, working with the Shift Network, we started the 11 Days of Global Unity summit panels on each of these 11 campaign themes. So that's how we started that in 2014, and we're continuing that as you know today. Then we have Ethical Markets Media, which is founded by Hazel Henderson. You see then below that the We symbol, that's the We campaign symbol, and then the next to that is We the World logo. We have Trends Magazine, which is a project of We the World. We have Unify, which has been an early partner with We the World for 11 Days of Global Unity, Unity Earth, Humanity Rising again. The Ungun Institute, founded by Dr. Marty K. Casey. What is that? The People's Climate Campaign. I forget what that is there. There's another climate partner, I believe. Shift Network, Humanities Team, Sign Network, Purpose Earth, URI, which is United Religions Initiative. And so there you go. These are some of the main partners, and there are many others. To date, over 600 organizations have signed up to collaborate on one or more of these 11 campaigns, which grew out of the 11 Days of Global Unity. So this is a burgeoning global movement and a way to kind of broadcast and pay tribute to and promote all of the work that these change makers are doing around the world. That's the idea of 11 Days, to give a focus to all of this amazing work and to, of course, get more people involved. And today, we want to do a special tribute, focusing on health. We want to focus on two of the change agents working with We the World on health. So I'd like to now introduce you to Kathryn Davis and Jason Ho. And let's start with Kathryn Davis. Kathryn Davis is producer and host of Heart of Mind Radio. And you can find Heart of Mind Radio at heartofmindradio.com. And this is broadcast on WBAI, which is part of the Pacifica Radio Network, and PRN, which is the Progressive Radio Network. Kathryn is also a meditation and movement teacher, Qigong teacher, and Kathryn is coordinator of the health campaign of We the World. So Kathryn, welcome to the broadcast. And what has motivated you to do this important work that you've been doing so far?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoyed that heart meditation, the name of the program, Heart of Mind, so that resonated very strongly. I've been interested in health since I was a child because when I was quite young, my mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And as I grew up, I became her caretaker. So I learned a lot about the progression of a disease. But what I also learned was that doctors don't always have the answers. And that set me off on a journey to find more expansive solutions for health problems. And, there's been a lot of research, and nowadays, things are very different. But I discovered that there is this whole world of complementary medicine and alternative health. And so for maybe 10 years, 15 years, I had a health program called Health Action. And so I did explore a lot of health there, speaking to different practitioners, looking at different fields. And ultimately, what I came to understand that health is a very integrated thing. It's not just our body, but it's the mind, the body, the spirit, our community, our family, and our world. So with that kind of a perspective, the work at We became very key to me because it makes these interconnections and helps us to understand that all of these facets of our life are interdependent. And so that's why I resonated very strongly with the We campaign. And I have found, as I've been just growing in my own profession of teaching and healing and working with energy medicine and that interconnection of mind, body, spirit, it's essentially all that I really am concerned with at the moment. And I think it's very important because the politics are so toxic and that they are creating all kinds of states of mind that are dangerous for people to be in, dangerous to their health. And then when we combine that to the pollutions in our world, the chemicals in the foods and the additives in the foods, and not having access to healthy nutritional plant foods because they're either grown in soil that's depleted or they're full of pesticides. And so all of these things concern me. Even organic food is sometimes doesn't have rich soil, and many people can't afford organic food. So all of these things make me realize that we have to do all that we can to be healthy individually, as well as create healthy environments for each other in the world. And that's how I view this campaign, as being able to look at the particular issues of healthcare, what's happening with children, what's happening with the elderly, what are their needs, and how can we find ways to bring resources together. And also, I would say in response to the COVID crisis, which seems to be a renewed crisis at the current moment, that it's even more important that we individually take that responsibility for taking care of our health. But in doing that, we need some things. We need good information and we need support systems. And all of those things are what we are looking to do with the health campaign. So I don't know if that answers the question, but at least it gets us started.
Definitely, definitely, and it's so great. And you mentioned the shows that you have done over the years. I used to listen to your shows, your health. I think it was called Health Action, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's so important to get alternative perspectives on health and wellness, because as you said, there, the mainstream medicine doesn't always have the answers. Mainstream medicine can can have good solutions when there's an accident and you need emergency care. But in the area, for example, of nutrition, it may not be as strong. And I think that's also coming around. I've had the occasion recently to speak to some or go to some mainstream doctors, and I was kind of asking them about nutrition to deal with certain things, and I think they are starting to come around. They're seeing the writing on the walls, so to speak. And then, of course, there are many doctors who are integrative doctors, right? They take the best of each of these areas, right? Right, Kathryn?
That's true. And functional medicine doctors are a lot, they really go into the roots of cause and look for many solutions. So things are much, much better in terms of the medical field. I think where we're having more problems is more with the agencies and with the industries who skew things towards their own benefit. So pharmaceuticals will create, do a test or do a study that is in many ways designed to give them the outcome that they might desire. And it's very difficult for remedies or drugs to receive studies because they're pretty much inexpensive to make and over the counter. So you can buy a vitamin in a drugstore or a health food store. So you're not going to find as many studies as you would with the drugs because it isn't profitable to do so. So I think that there are some issues there. Though I agree with you. I've seen a lot more actual practitioners offering nutritional work, and even this whole new profession. Well, it's not absolutely new, but the nurse practitioners who can open their own practice and really counsel you in ways that you can improve your health. So there are a lot of resources out there, but in many ways, it gets drummed out by the mainstream narratives that don't promote holistic therapies, and in some cases will suppress the information. So that's where I see the bigger problem.
Yeah, and there's another thing that I've been concerned about, which is just the influence of let's say commercial or processed food industries on the overall health of people in the United States and around the world. I was watching a documentary. I don't remember the exact name, but it's something like high blood sugar or something like that, and it's talking about the obesity and diabetes and how that is just about becoming an epidemic in the United States. Um, what I recall in terms of the percentage that they were saying was that something like in 2010, 3% of adults had diabetes in the country, and then in 2020 it was 10%. And the really striking statistic that it was unbelievable to hear it, that they said by 2024 that 50% of adults in the United States will either be pre-diabetic or diabetic. That's totally outrageous, unless some huge shift takes place. This is an expanding epidemic that we're not seeing in the headlines. So
Exactly.
you hear, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's why campaigns such as this are important. These processed products are really convenient. They're marketed very heavily, but they bring excess sugar and excess salt into the diet. And that causes people to have such high levels of those elements that it becomes damaging to health. So most definitely, this is a big issue because it isn't even so much that people are eating too much. It's just that the foods contain too many additives and preservatives as well as fillers. And there's just so much in processed food that is not meant for human consumption or any kind of consumption, to make it have a long shelf life. So it's a real problem, and it's a huge problem in poor communities where when I was growing up, I saw very few live vegetables. I saw lettuce, I saw tomatoes, I knew cucumbers, but there's this whole array of beautiful vegetables that a human body needs in order to be fully healthy. And I didn't have access to it till I became an adult and moved into a different neighborhood. So I think that it's part of the reason why so many young people having the same problems are obese. And so, the environmental issues in young people create asthma. So there's a lot of issues that we have to face on the level of activism and legislation. But I feel that one of the biggest impacts can be through communicating with people, helping people to educate themselves and encourage them to be self-empowered so that they can be healthy again. It's really important for that to happen. And, with diabetes, I have it in my family as well. It accumulates over time and begins to really deteriorate the body. So I think it's really important for people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic to do an extreme dietary change and move away from sugars entirely. Maybe research and start looking at herbs and bitter herbs that can bring the body back into balance. And I don't recommend products because I'm not a physician. I'm not licensed to recommend products. What I offer people is an opportunity to do the relaxation, the meditation, the movement that also helps the body to function very well. To be able to learn how to drain the lymph system so that the toxins can actually get out of the body and allow your body to function the way it was designed to function. And a lot of that can be done through movement, breathing, exercise. That's all a part of it. But what you put into your body is paramount with most of these diseases, such as hypertension, diabetes. And as we see with this virus, these are all considered comorbidities that will contribute to a more damaging outcome. So I think that now is the time for people to start walking back some of the issues that they may be dealing with. We all have them. we all have something, some more advanced than others, and some more dangerous conditions than others. But we can begin to walk it back. And that's what the campaigns that we are developing are all about, to be able to get out there and get people to do things and bring in their siblings and their friends and partner with each other to help each other through their individual campaign towards health. And that's what we're looking to be expanding and developing as we go forward with this campaign.
Yeah, it was so interesting with the this documentary that I was talking about. They went into different communities around the country. There was a Midwest community. They went into a Harlem community, and the cultures are different in these communities. But one thing that was the same was that food was considered an offering to be neighborly, like in the I forget exactly which state it was, but it was in the Midwest, and they if somebody knocks on the door, just you offer them food, like you and if they are in the kind of what we call a food desert that you were describing as you were growing up, then the offering is quite a bit of processed food, and but it's like it's part of the culture, and so that making that shift to think about healthy eating, and how that affects everything in your life is really important. So I want to thank you, Kathryn, for focusing on that in your whole life.
Yeah, it's important, and people can offer food. They just need to offer healthier food. They don't have to change the culture.
I guess so, but then you have years of things being considered normal. KFC is considered normal, right?
Yeah.
So so there you go. So would you like to bring in Jason and maybe talk a little bit about him, and then we'll hear from Jason about his interest in health and just in general. Go ahead, Kathryn.
Most definitely. Jason has come into the health campaign as a volunteer. At this point, he's really a partner in the whole process because he brings so much energy to it and connections, and he's better able to reach out to the young people who aren't really paying attention to health so much, but are busy developing those conditions that will later get them into trouble. But also, we've spoken about the impacts of the whole lockdown and the COVID crisis on the mental health of young people. So I feel he has a lot to contribute. He's a student currently, and I believe he's been working through the summer as well. So he's a busy young man, but I am really grateful for your being part of this group, Jason. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in it and what it means for you?
Thank you, Kathryn. I joined We back in January. So I've actually been a part of the organization for about 8 months now, which is crazy to think. And pretty much I came as a volunteer. I didn't really know what I was going to do, what kind of organization I was going to end up in. But our volunteer coordinator, Jana Larson, put me with Kathryn just to be more of an assistant role, just try to keep things organized, schedule meetings and all of that. And Kathryn brought me in during the first broadcast that she was doing. And, I was really just there to listen and just, absorb all of the information I could get. And some of the panelists, as well as Kathryn, just wanted to integrate me into the conversation. And then from there, it just seemed like every broadcast that we did right after, it became more immersive for me, as well as gave me a lot to learn about. I mean, I'm a business and technology major, so I have no knowledge on health whatsoever. And even when I was younger, I didn't know anything about physical health or any type of emotional health, because that's not something that they teach us in school. I kind of knew spiritual things from my parents and like my grandparents. And that's just all I really knew. So working with Kathryn over the course of these past 8 months has been really amazing. It's just given me so much perspective in terms of just learning more and more as I go. And yeah, I don't think I would be in the health industry when I move forward, but I'm glad that I can definitely speak on it now. And also, like, a part of the journey is always getting to learn more so that you can give it to somebody else. And that's what I feel like Kathryn has done. She spent her entire career learning about all these different types of health industries, health problems that are going around. And she's taught me over the course of our partnership. And moving forward, that's going to be my job to impart this kind of wisdom onto anybody else I meet or anybody who's younger than me, which is crazy to say because I'm literally just 18. I'm always just trying to have some fun, just bring energy to the conversations and give perspective on how much the youth really doesn't know, or how little we're actually being told.
I have a question for you, Jason. How, in terms of your friends, and this idea of nutrition and how that affects our entire health and everything, how would you say your friends and the young people that you connect with on a regular basis, how would you say that their attitude is towards this idea of what you put in your body, really can affect you?
I think with a lot of the people I've met over the course of my life, they seem more, I guess, well-rounded in terms of nutrition and dieting than I do. A lot of times they're the ones telling me like, "Oh, Jason, like you need to balance out your meals or something." Because I have a tendency to just run on whatever energy I could produce on my own without proper nutrition. So since I've been at college, it's been more of me trying to learn exactly how to get the proper nutrients in me, get actual food instead of like instant ramen or something. And I think that's amazing because in life, like we have a job and a duty to try to help each other out, look out for each other. So I'm very grateful that for all my friends who are constantly looking out for me, and I look out for them likewise.
So is there awareness of this dynamic sort of conflict, I guess you could say, between the world of for-profit companies that produce food and everything, and people with their health, because I mean, is there awareness about that, or do people just sort of take it in and don't worry about it? The advertising, something looks good, then it must be good for you.
I'll definitely say that it depends on the person. Depends on what kind of articles they read or what kind of news they're being given, right? I definitely know people who are very well knowledgeable on like products that have way too many chemicals in them that aren't supposed to be consumed by people. And I also know some other people who really just, food is food, and it's going in my body and it'll probably do something to me, like so I think in terms of that field, we definitely have a job to do in terms of educating everybody, because what you put in your body is definitely something that could, keep you going for a very long time in your life or cut your life significantly. And I think that's something that we have a job to do in terms of spreading the word about watch what you eat, but also these kinds of companies need to be completely transparent about what's going in their food or what they're feeding the consumers.
Right. It's one of the many things that I am grateful to Ralph Nader for pushing for, in his earlier years. He's one of the people that's responsible for there being an ingredient list on food and all kinds of products. Without that, we wouldn't really know what's going on. Yeah, go ahead, Kathryn.
Yeah, no, I was, as I was listening to Jason, I was thinking about all the people I know in my life who for many years have not been paying attention to these things, starting from being young, because when you're young, you have all the energy in the world and you feel indestructible, and you don't really think about having a concern. And so I think part of that giving of the information is beginning to look at the journeys for young people of how their grandmother got so sick or how their uncle got so sick and what were they doing in their lives that led to that outcome. So maybe young people can begin to make that comparison and make different choices for themselves. So even though they may feel strong and indestructible, at some point that might begin to erode. And maybe if they can make that connection to their relatives, that would be helpful. And I also think that parents can begin to help people when they're young enough to be helped. Before the teen years and everybody's out there doing their thing, is to share nutrition with children in terms of teaching them through feeding them appropriately and explaining why they're getting this food and how it's making them strong. So there needs to be some way to help parents nurture their children into a healthy lifestyle so that as they grow older, they'll just naturally make better choices. I think my generation, which I guess is the boomer generation, we were educated by TV. It was like the boomer generation was the boom of commercials, the boom of chemicals, the boom of everything. And we just followed that without giving it any thought. And I don't think that the commercials on TV have changed much, but the resources for education have really been developed, and we need to get children moving at a young age. They cut out all of the gyms from education. They cut the budget. They cut the things that are going to keep kids healthy. And being involved in exercise or sports has a significant impact on developing a person's character. I know that Jason does martial arts, both you and your sister. Maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
I mean, yeah. I was like a multi-sport athlete when I was younger, so I never really had to worry about the fitness portion. It was more about what I was eating to balance out the amount of energy I was burning during my activities. But I think that's like super important, just making sure that you're constantly moving, and you don't have to, run a marathon or something or go lift a bunch of weights to be healthy. It's about making like small changes to your lifestyle. Like because I lived in Brooklyn, so instead of taking the bus to school, maybe walk to school one day, or instead of like, I don't know, taking the train somewhere, again, you could walk somewhere. The walking's not going to kill you. And it's also really nice to just, feel like you're actually moving around, not sitting around all the time. And I think that was a big problem in terms of the whole lockdown and everything, where they were telling us, don't go outside, don't like talk to friends, like don't interact with other people. And that's why we're probably going to see a lot of health problems moving forward once we get out of this entire pandemic situation, in terms of the youth, the middle, I don't know what you call it, adolescents, I guess, and like the elderly. It's we're going to have long ramifications moving forward, but it's right now when we can kind of rectify it. We're trying to make those ramifications a little lesser by changing the way we live. I mean, right now, I'm in New Jersey for college, so we don't really have the same transportation that we do back in Brooklyn. So now I either walk to school or I skateboard. And I think that's amazing because I don't have a gym class. So that's where I get my fitness from. And it's something that's really fun for me to do. And it doesn't have to be something where, you know, you're constant, like it's a regimen or anything. Just do it on your own time. Make sure you get some type of exercise in or some type of going outside and like breathing in some fresh air, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That's really, really important. And even for all of us, no matter what age group, we have to really put that into the schedule. And, you know, invite a neighbor, invite a cousin, go out for a nice walk, because even with the pandemic, the risks are very low when you're outside. And it's a chance not just to get the exercise by going for a nice walk, either in the park or maybe some nice area that you enjoy, but it also helps you because on a psychological level, we need to pay attention to the fact that we need to make those connections with each other, that isolation can really, too much isolation can cause mental health issues for a lot of people. And we need to be able to weave in those connections, not just in going for a walk, but also even through platforms such as this, talking to people, meeting people, having conversations, sharing time. We have to understand how important all those facets of our life are. And I noticed that they on the news alerts, they were talking about people who are quitting their jobs, the Great Resignation. And even in China, they had a campaign a month or so back calling Lying Flat, where people are just realizing that their lives have been consumed by their work. And they're not having the time that they need to be with family and friends, to be able to prepare their meals, to be able to take care of themselves and to honor themselves as a human being, and not sort of lose all that in order to get ahead in a career or a job. And for many people, they're not even getting ahead. They're just treading water. Because they're not making enough money in the first place. So I just think it's a time right now where the world is very ripe for change on so many levels. And people, I think, now understand that they can't ignore their health. They might not all know how to move through the steps. And hopefully that's part of what we can do with this campaign. But I think everyone is beginning to realize that we have to put our humanity first. And that includes our body and our well-being, mind, body, and spirit. So I just think it's really important that we all work towards these ends as we go forward and integrate it with the other campaigns and the other ideas, because health is very much related to environment. You can't be healthy. You could have the healthiest lifestyle in the world. If you're living in a toxic waste dump, you're still going to get sick. And so, yeah, so it all works together. And hopefully through our campaigns and through our partnerships, we'll be able to build an awareness of what we're doing. And I think that's really important because people are becoming hopeless based on the narratives that they see in the mainstream media. And they're feeling it's difficult because this kind of work doesn't get the coverage that it deserves. So I'm hoping that we can break through that media barrier and allow people to know about it and to get involved, to become volunteers, and because this is the way to grow forward, I believe.
Definitely. And Kathryn, I'm so happy you brought up the connection of health to other issues like the environment, because, and this, I also wanted to get your feedback about this, Jason. You know, young people have been taking a tremendous lead in raising awareness about climate the climate crisis and climate disruption and all of that. And I'm just wondering if young people are making that connection with health. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking. In the 1990s, a friend of mine who was a creative director at an ad agency, who was also very politically oriented, he made a campaign which showed like a hamburger. It looked like a hamburger with the buns at the top and the bottom, but in between was not the burger itself. It was all the life forms living in the Amazon rainforest. Leopards and trees and, primates and, all of these things were sandwiched in between this burger, because what was happening and is still happening is that the Amazon rainforest is being cleared at an alarming rate in order to raise cattle for hamburgers. And in the 90s, the rate of destruction of the Amazon was so great that at the high point, I think an area the size of France was being cleared every year. Can you imagine that? So it was totally outrageous, and it's unfortunately still happening. So the question is, if you're buying a hamburger, are you contributing to that clearing of the rainforest? And of course, even raising cattle here or anywhere contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, which is fueling the whole climate crisis. So I'm just wondering if the young people you know who might be aware of the climate crisis make that connection with their own eating habits, and of course it affects your health too. Eating that kind of thing. What do you think, Jason?
I think the awareness with the climate crisis is definitely more at the forefront, rather than what you just mentioned about how the rainforest is being cleared out for cattle. And I think that's a problem, because that's something I didn't know they were doing. I thought they were clearing it out to build property on it, like people usually clear out rainforests and all these forests. I think in terms of the awareness that people have, in terms of all the activism events that we have and that the We campaign sponsors, young people like myself, we only know so much, and that's due to social media giving us a glimpse of certain things, but not the whole picture. So I think that's something that I'll definitely continue to look into, because personally, I had no clue that was going on. And I think that a lot of people need to know about that. So thank you for giving that to me, Rick.
Oh, sure. And I guess it isn't talked about that much, but that is it's probably the main reason why the forests have been cleared in the Amazon. But there's probably development in other kinds of industries as well. But I think that has been the biggest reason. Kathryn, any comments?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention that I did visit the rainforest about 10 years ago. I went to Ecuador. And it was such a tragic situation, because they had pulled out these great swaths of land, trees, and then they offered homesteads to people would come out of the cities and then try to raise cattle. But the devastation to the indigenous community was what I saw as such a tragedy. And the land was so destroyed that it couldn't hold on to the soil. So everything was flooded, and there were landslides. And so I think another interconnection is what's happening to indigenous people. So it's not just the hamburger and the cattle, but it's also digging for oil and creating pipelines, is destroying the water and destroying the integrity of indigenous communities all over the world, really. So I think that we just no longer live in a time where people can just take for granted the status quo, everything is okay. And we have to expand our awareness to the fact that we're a humanity of billions of people, and everybody matters. And we have to start making conditions that will uphold everyone's well-being and everyone's humanity. And I think that's why I'm even grateful to you, Rick, for creating this interdependent forum that we can weave through all of these topics. And it allows people to sort of find their niche in terms of what they really resonate with. Like for me, it may be health, but it does a heart good to know that there's somebody else working on the environment and another person working on women and someone else working on children's issues. So it all comes together positively. I'm just very eager to find a way to expand our voices and really begin to educate people so that we don't go back to normal, because I think that's the worst thing we could do, is go back to normal.
Exactly. So any last words before we wind up? And we'll be bringing Jim Garrison back in to close us out. So Kathryn, we're going to have a panel discussion not too long from now on health for the 11 Days of Global Unity Summit.
At 1 p.m., though it isn't a panel, it's more of a presentation. I'll be really looking at some of the issues that we're talking about and really wanting to share with people how they can go about releasing that stress and bringing their bodies back into balance. So it's more into that kind of detail.
Great. That's fabulous. So that's happening at 1 p.m. Eastern time today. And so I want to thank you, Kathryn and Jason, so much for all of your important work with the health campaign and everything that you're doing. And just so people know, once again, you can go to we.net to see the full schedule of all of these broadcasts and other panels and events for 11 Days of Global Unity. And you can connect with us. You can join the We team. Kathryn and Jason are on the We team. And that's where all of the 11 campaigns take shape and expand. So we.net, the schedule, join the We team. And if you have an organization that is doing work with regard to health or any of these 11 campaigns, we definitely want to collaborate with you, partner with you. We love promotion. We're probably a unique nonprofit in that sense. We promote other nonprofits. So that's what we love to do. And we.net is your connection to all of it. So thank you. And thank you, Jim and Ubiquity University and Humanity Rising. Do you want to kind of close us out now, Jim?
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Kathryn. I've just been marveling at this extensive discussion about hamburgers. And you open up a bun and there you see the Amazon rainforest and
That's it. That's it.
But you're so right, Kathryn. It's not a matter of how much we're eating, it's what we're eating that is killing us. And I've seen a documentary on these matters, and that these big conglomerates, McDonald's, Burger King, all these other fast food companies, they design the combination of salt and sugar and grease so that it's optimally addictive. They actually design it to be addictive. And so when you go to have a Big Mac, it tastes great, and accompanied by all the French fries and all the grease you get into the French fries. And then guess what? All the diabetes rates go up, and the illnesses. The United States now is one of the most unhealthy populations in the entire industrial world because we're eating so much junk food. And so I just want to acknowledge and applaud this program today on health. It's really simple. If you really think about, what you eat, how you exercise, how you engage in mindfulness, how you develop right livelihood, there's all kinds of things over which we have choices that can shape us into much healthier human beings and communities. So hats off to what you're doing, Kathryn. I mean, you're really out there on the front lines. And Jason, just to see a young man like you, just so full of hope and energy and clarity. I just want to say, as a father of two sons of my own, go get them, man. Go get them. And Kathryn, you just keep on keeping on. That's what those of us that have been in the battles and in the struggle for decades and years now, we just have to keep on keeping on. So thank you. And Rick, it's just such a pleasure every day to have you on. And we'll be turning tomorrow to I believe it's the issue of youth and children. And that's an issue close to all of our hearts. So we'll see you here again tomorrow. For those of you who are interested, we have an after session chat group that starts right now. The link is in the chat box if you're interested in a further discussion. If not, then we'll see you at the top of this next hour for the second session of We the World and the 11 Days of Global Unity. Humanity Rising will be at 8 a.m. Pacific time, as we have since the 22nd of May last year, same time, same station. So we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.